A lot of time people assume that the data science projects and the data analytics project are just all Python dependent. You cannot do these projects without Python. And I think that's a wrong notion. This should not be your thought process. The whole idea behind the data science and the data analytics project is I want to get some meaningful, actionable insight from the data, and data could be at any format. Of course, I do agree that Python makes life so much easier when you have to go through with the SQL files or the CSV files and Excel files. It's an easy one. And there are pre-built libraries and templates and code snippets which I can go ahead and use it. But just assuming that, hey, there's only one language, Python, that can do it, I want to break this notion. So in this video, I will walk you through that how we build a similar kind of a data science and data analytics project using the JavaScript skills. And you can just recreate this project in Python as well, but this would be a fun, great project. And we wanted to analyze that how our playlist is working on the other channel, the Hindi channel. And are we doing something awesome in some of the videos that we can learn from it and improve the whole playlist with that? For that, we need to see that how our entire playlist is doing. And if there is a video which is sparking the interest again, we want to find out all those videos. So it would be a fun project. And we realized that let's do this project. Initially, it was a thought that we'll do this just as an internal project. Then I realized I need to share this with you guys. And don't worry, the video is not really that big. The whole project, we were able to do it within minutes. You will get the entire source code. No, nothing to be worried about. In fact, first, let me show you the source code. Then I'll give you a demo of what we have done. So the source code is this function. Yeah, this is function. The whole project is built in Next.js. And if you just look at this, this is hardly from 16 line to 124 line. That is also not a big deal. Startup part is just about sanitization and stuff. And you just go up here. This is where we wrote some of the crawlers from an open source library, which is available there. And it is so much fun. I explored so many new things while exploring this one. So this is what we all built up there. But again, let me first show you and show you the whole process of building it and how we would be able to build it and what data we are grabbing it. So first and foremost, before that, how does a student learn? Whenever a playlist is being launched on a YouTube, a course is being launched, we know that the graph is not the idealistic. And everybody knows that if I just go ahead and go for this one, the first video is always going to be exception. So I just keep it at very high because it's a launch video. You are putting up extreme musics and promotions, activities, and all of that. So this is the usual anomaly that happens. And if you just bias your entire data, this will make entire thing skewed up. I don't want that. And after that, from the very second video, you see that the graph actually kind of starts somewhere here. So we know this part. And we assume that it's a whole drop after this like that. And there are only a few students which goes along with the curve. That, hey, things are going on. And if I have to draw it a little bit better, I'll just say that, hey, it's a constant sharp drop. And then and some students actually go ahead and finish this. This is usually my perspective. And this is how it happens. But hey, this is just an assumption that, hey, first of all, it goes up high, then it goes like that. But where's the data? Where's the proof? Where are the graphs which are actually from those playlists? How about if we design an application which goes onto a playlist, collect all the views from an existing playlist and plots a graph with that? That would be really cool to work with that. So for this, we created an application where you have to just enter the playlist URL. It goes ahead and load all the videos on the left hand side. This is just for us for fun. And then just finds out that how many views are there. Notice how good that as a project that you can analyze anything in nice and easy graphs and views and charts format. And here we see that we can say that whatever the information we have, the anomaly happens here with the 947. So first video, everybody is interested. And then you see the sharp drop from the very second video that, hey, there's only few people actually get stuck with the programming. And then you can see that the whole graph remains kind of consistent. So yeah, not really bad. Some of the videos didn't perform well. So video 28, probably people already know about it. We can do more of this. Yeah, there's an actionable insight that, hey, you can do something really good. And then we saw that video 35. This is really interesting where we saw a spike. Maybe the promotion was good of the video. Maybe we shared it on the social media. We now need to find out that what is happening with this. So after that, we can see that, hey, there's a subtle drop and some of the people actually constantly watch it, finishes it up. A lot of people actually migrate to just watching the whole video at once. So that's understandable. But a lot of people keep on restarting the series. So that's why the initial videos are good here and they are always going to get the views. But this is really good. So all you have to do is go up here and make sure you go on this page only, because the way we have designed this whole thing is not you can throw up and not any URL. This is also a very challenging URL. If you will definitely discuss this part. If you see this, these are not just the only videos. So some of the videos load really late in the DOM element, and you have to just scroll it, and you have to keep on scrolling how much you have actually added up. So these whole things, YouTube doesn't load up in the first go. So there's a challenge there. I'll just go ahead and share this, copy this URL, and this is the URL which is required by our application. But hey, you can just go ahead and modify just a URL. We need to just grab this playlist whole code, and you can just rewrite this parser for this one. Now, if you go ahead and look for the analyzing of the playlist, if I go ahead and open up my code part of it, it definitely goes ahead and it does whole of the scrapping. The requests are there. Sometimes the request fails, sometimes request does good. We have kept some optimization as well in this one, so it goes like that. And there you go, your Python series is now done parsing all the things. All the videos are being loaded up. And here also we can see the same trend being happening. We need to figure out that where we are doing good, there is always a video which is popping up. So obviously first anomaly happen, first video gets a lot of hype. Everybody says, hey, I'm gonna learn this. And then see the student starts from the video 2, video 3, probably video 4 here that, hey, we still want to learn. And you'll see that, okay, this is good graph. And on the video 13, 12,000 views, comparatively okay. But we can see that there was one video again, video number 18, which did really well. And the final video, which also did really well. So we need to figure out what we are doing good in this video so that we can do more of this. And this is being loved by students. So whatever is being loved by a student, let's do it again. So this is what happens when you are becoming a data scientist or data science. It's not just about the tools that you have. You can learn any tools. It's not just about Python. It's not about JavaScript. It's not about Next.js. Whatever existing tool you can have, you can learn about how can I process more data and have actionable info with that. So for this, we actually went ahead and figured out that, hey, how can we go ahead and do this? So let's figure out, the goal was very clear for us. We want to analyze the YouTube stats. So YouTube data, that was our very first goal. So this is what we wanted to work and learn on. And there are a couple of ways how we can actually go ahead and build this application. The first and easiest way is to load everything through the API. YouTube actually provides you all these APIs, and definitely this is one of the way of going through and working officially. But there are problems with the API route that, hey, sometimes this API can become costly, and sometimes it doesn't work the way we want it to work. And especially with the Google APIs, I'm not really a big fan of the docs. So I didn't want it to create another account and have an API. And probably tomorrow I want to build any such application. So having good knowledge about the crawler, it's a good idea. So we scratched it off that, hey, I don't want to do this. So we just scratched it off that I don't want to do the API route. I want to do something else. So we thought, let's go ahead and hunt for a route of a crawler. And crawler, or you can say we want to scrape the website. Scraping would not be a good word, especially for the YouTube. They don't like it much. So we thought that can we automate this stuff? So another good word that you can learn about here is web automation. And there are a lot of tools for it. I'll show you that how we actually are going to learn this together. So we thought that let's go ahead and do the crawler way. And through this, we are going to learn about the web automation stuff as well. Turns out there are lots of tools. You might have heard about Selenium, Playwright. There are a lot of them. These are some of the tools which helps you to do the web automation. In search for that, because we didn't want to do it with the Python way or the Java way, we thought, hey, can anybody give us a crawler or a web automation tool via the JavaScript? And turns out we found this open source library here. So Crawly is a web scraping and browser automation library. It was free, it was open source, the source code was available, which is always a nice thing when there are things in the open source. If you wish to contribute in that, hey, they are looking for the contributors as well, 93 so far, used by a lot of people. So go ahead, again, another library to contribute as an open source. Whenever the library is fresh, new, you know that it's all good. I'm surprised by the forks, what people are doing with 628 forks. I really want to know. Anyways, so once I saw this, I realized, hey, this would be really good to actually go ahead and try our hands with this. So we used end-to-end this library. I'll walk you through. We are going to together create some application. We'll go through with the source code, documentation, help how to learn a new thing. That's going to be fun stuff. And we realized we can just go ahead and create a project just like this, which we'll be doing that in a minute in this video. And we saw the Playwright. And this is the point where a lot of you might not be aware of the Playwright. So it's a good idea that you can go ahead and work with the Playwright. So we went up and searched for this. Okay, this is a Playwright. enables reliable end-to-end testing for modern apps, so you get the idea. Also, what I noticed is that every single place there was this icon as run on Appify, and I'll show you that how you can actually use this. This is also a really fun product. So I actually went up and signed up in that. And there are so many crawlers. So whatever the code you have written, you can actually post it here, and a lot of people are actually posting in the store. Yes, I tried it a lot, and we had some fun with this. So whatever the scripts you are writing, turns out they are available for others as well to use your code, and they pay you for that as well. So in case you're writing, and these days you know how the ChatGPT and the GitHub Copilot, they are all working, they are all running through the internet, grabbing all the data. So they hire these kinds of third-party tools and use them. So if you wish, you have written something, you can just work for it. For example, if you just click on the e-commerce, if you have written some code, hey, if you wish, you can go ahead and try this out. And some of them are actually paid. In fact, a lot of them, if you look at the pricing, if you just for this, let's just say Amazon product scraper, this one is maintained by Appify, but I saw a lot of them are from the other people as well. I'm pretty sure this one is. Yeah, this one is maintained by community, and this one is $30 per month as a usage, and they share something, so you can just go ahead and try this. For me, the most fun part was Crawly and the playwright, so it was really fun to work with that. So this is the part one. This is the part one where I showed you that what we really want to build and how the project will go through. In the part two, we're going to go ahead together. We'll go through with an open source library, Crawly. We'll install it together. We'll hunt it down. We'll understand the documentation. And in the third part and the final part, I will walk you through with the project, what are the hiccups we faced, how we solved that. And by that time, you will also go ahead and the product will be available to you. The source code will be available to you. We optimized it a little bit as well. That was a fun, real case study project. So I think building this end-to-end project was really fun. Go ahead and try this out as well. Now let's go ahead and move on to the second part. For me, it's a second video, but it's a second part for you. Let's go ahead and explore Crawly. Welcome to the section 2 of this video. For me, this is video 2. For you, this is the section 2. And now that we have decided what we want to build, now we are going to go ahead and grab the knowledge which is required to execute that task. And no, not everyone can do this, especially beginners and who are just in the phase that I'm a beginner, I want to just learn the things, I'm not sure about the syntax. This is not for that. This is for the people who have learned a basics of programming, have followed a couple of videos and build the stuff. Now it's going to be just a hustle that how can I explore a new library? Maybe you want to contribute in it as an open source or want to just learn about, because how can you contribute if you are not aware about the product that is there in the open source? So this is exactly that painful process that we're going to go through together. It's not as painful now in the video because this is my second or third time of iterating over it, but you will exactly see the process of reading the documentation for the first time of a new product, and together we're going to just spend some time in exploring the Crawly and grab any knowledge that we can grab. And again, there is no shortcut for it, there is no AI for it. Surely you can insert the data documentation in the AI as well, but it rarely works and it gives you all the awful answers. So always hunting inside the documentation about the information that you look for is always a good idea. Learn to read the docs, that I always say. So in this one, let's go ahead and work with that. So this is our code editor. We are going to go ahead and work with this. On the other hand, we have the Crawly. So let's go ahead and work with the Crawly, how we can work with that. Of course, there are docs and there are examples. My first itch was to go into the examples and see that, and there are some really nice ones. For example, there is accept user input, there is accept a data set, Cheerio crawler, basic crawler as well, bare bone examples of how to use crawlers. This is good, but then I went ahead and said, this might be a little bit too fast for me. Let's go into the docs and see how it works. So literally there is no other option. You have to go through with each and every line that what it's trying to say and how can I fast forward. This is not like I can just go ahead and work with that. When I show you these things in the tutorials, it's always like I have read these documentation, and that's why I'm able to pinpoint that, hey, this Crawly actually comes with the 3 main crawler class, which gives you the access to the agents, Cheerio crawler, Puppeteer, and Playwright. In case you are not aware about what Playwright is, you definitely need to go and learn about what Playwright is. It's kind of your own browser which can be automated and can do all the tasks for you. They are available in headless mode and with the head mode as well. And go ahead and learn about it. This is how you actually explore more things. And if this is being used by Disney Hotstar and Adobe and so many other places, it must be good. There is something to learn up here. And this is not just about the Playwright. Go ahead and learn about Cheerio. Go ahead and learn about the Playwright and Puppeteer. You never know which one is going to work with you and in what company which one will be used. But again, these are good information. You really need to learn about these agents or these are not just classes, they are full-blown products here. So they also mention a little bit about the Cheerio. So this is a plain HTTP crawler. It parses HTML using Cheerio library. So Cheerio turns out to be a library and crawls the web plugin use specialized GOT scripting. So this is also new stuff, new learned. So whenever people ask me that, how do you know so much of stuff? Because I read, you should also read. And now I'm walking you through the whole reading process of it. The Puppeteer, this crawler uses headless browser to crawl. In case you are not aware of it, not every time your browser needs to fire up, and this what we are using here, this is a head full browser. It does everything in the browser. But sometimes you can actually mimic the browser via the scripts, and that is known as headless browser. It behaves like a browser, sends all the cookies and all the tokens and all the hints that yes, I'm a browser, full-blown browser, but it's not actually a browser that's firing up. It's all in the command line prompt. So this headless browser is given to us via the Puppeteer, a Puppeteer library, and you can just go ahead and open about that. Turns out this is also available on the GitHub, and you can just learn and release so much things. And even there are dedicated courses about learning about the Puppeteer. After that, we have Playwright crawler. Playwright is more powerful and fully featured successor to Puppeteer. It can control Chromium, Chromefolk. So this is like a full-blown browser being given to you. It's really successor to Puppeteer, but it's a full browser, and you can also see that browser popping up in front of you, doing all the tasks, tick, 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 and entering the email, password, signing up, logging in. It can do all of the things, and you can see that all happening. It's very useful for a lot of browser automation work when you want to see that how your application is behaving, is front end all okay, all the login scripts are working, all the functionality is there, any button is missing, not missing. It is being used quite a lot. Again, you can just go ahead and learn about the Playwright. This is really popular. This is from Microsoft, and turns out Microsoft owns a lot of open source projects these days. Very powerful, very popular, and on the website also you'll see that this is how it looks like. Anyways, now it says that, hey, whenever you want to install the crawly as a CLI, you can just go ahead and say npx crawly create crawly my app. So they do have an agent which can help you to just do that. One thing you have to keep in mind, that crawly doesn't actually comes as bundled with any of these things, Cheerio, Puppeteer, or Playwright. You have to install them as a separate one. They are dependencies, but to make crawly a little bit lightweight and have the flexibility, they actually say that, hey, you need to worry about that separately. It's not a big deal. You can just go ahead and say npm install and Playwright. You can install that. And they mentioned this in the caution that Playwright is not bundled with crawly. That's good information. And yes, literally, you have to go through with this page, have to reduce all the notes, and that's how anybody is able to teach, at least that I know of. And then you can simply work with the crawly. There is a first example here with the Playwright, and you literally have to sit here and go through with these examples. A lot of comments here. We're going to do this painful job together, and then we're going to jump into some of the examples and how this works. So let's go up here. The step one is importing the Playwright crawly and the data set. So I don't know what the Playwright crawly is or the data set is, but hey, you can guess a hint here. So Playwright crawler crawls the web using the headless. All right. So now that I know what the headless mode is, the Playwright library is being imported and we are bringing its headless mode. Browser controlled by the Playwright library. Okay, got it. Then after that, we simply go ahead and create an object crawler from the new Playwright class that we have. So it's a function that we are generating up here. It uses the request handler to process each crawled page. All right, so there is a request handler. You can send requests that how much page or what page you want to go with that. And this all happens asynchronously. Very good. Good deduction of the code here. Then we have a method which we have to use as a request handler. And this takes parameter which says request, a page, and the enqueue link and the logs as well. So a lot of things are being injected here for each process. And once we actually send this request handler, we can actually go ahead and say, hey, await. And then it gives you a page object. So it's a good idea to explore more about what this page actually does. If it can give me a title, it definitely can give me a whole lot of things as well. Then we have some of the log information as well, which says title of request.loaded URL is the title. So turns out title is given to me via the page object, but the request actually takes the URL parameter. Good stuff, good information. and then saves the result as a JSON to storage. So as soon as you go ahead and make any request, this, we are assuming here that this is going to take the result and will deploy that into the JSON and will create a new file inside my current directory as /storage/datasets/default. This is a useful information that we are able to grab just by looking at the code. And yes, if you can read these documentation, you can just do a lot of stuff. Let me show you one more fun stuff. So turns out that this is exactly what happens when your code actually runs. It creates a new folder for you, which is storage. Inside that you have a data set here, and this is where you see all the information. So all the request queues, yeah, this is where all the request queues goes, and a whole lot of things are covered up here in the JSON. So you can literally go ahead and read about what's happening, how is it happening, what URL you are scrolling, what is the order number, retry count, a unique key that we are actually adding. But yeah, turns out a lot of new information is here, and this is how you go ahead and learn about what the crawler is doing. Lots of information is here. And turns out when you have to do such kind of project in the companies, you have to go through with all of this. There is no exception. Anyways, let's keep on learning what we can learn from this one. So then turns out that now that we know there is a storage data is being created, we have to await so that the data set, remember we pulled in this data set up here. This is an inbuilt mechanism of the crawly itself, which push the data and sends the title URL as from the request loaded URL. So that's a good information. And notice here it says extract link from the current page and adds them to the crawling queue. So this is a full-blown crawler where you give it a link, it finds all the link on the web page and further can keep on crawling with that. But when is it going to stop? And this is where the rest of the code comes in. So uncomment these option to see the browser window. So if you want the headless to false, you want to see that the browser should open up, pop up, and I want to see the whole thing going on, then I can turn it as false and this option can be enabled. I'll definitely would love to try this. Then it says, let's request our crawlers to make our test shorter and safer. So we are saying that max request per crawl is 50. I think that's already too much. And then all I have to do is await crawler.run. So notice here we are creating this crawler here, and this is the setting. So we are setting and providing all these objects and callbacks to work on it. And then we are giving the crawly.dev, the whole website of it, and I can give it any website. So turns out this is what I want to learn. This is what I want to run on my application as well. So let's go ahead and create a new project and see if we can actually run this much. And yes, you have to go through with this painful process. I thought it would be fun to show you all this exercise and what happens behind the scene. It's not like I can just go ahead and come up something on my own out of the thin air. It doesn't work like that. So let's just go ahead and say we want to initialize a new project. I'll just go work with that. And I'll just open up the package.json directly. We'll see that how we will, or I can just say index.js main is fine. We're not doing much. Index.js. Let's open this up. And I would love to install directly from the docs. Let's copy this and see this. So npm install crawly, and it's also installing playwright for me because I'm interested in this case as playwright. If you want to go with the Puppeteer or something, you can just go ahead and install that as well. No big deal there. Why are you taking so much time? By the time it takes this much of the time, playwright is actually a big installation. I'll just go ahead and copy this. By the way, it later got my attention that you can run it on the Epify, and that is also really amazing. I'll show you that how it actually works. I'll show you some of the examples that I actually used. And I'll just go ahead and, okay, this does the job. I'll paste this one. And let's save and see how many of the errors we see, and are we able to run it or not? What is the output database, output thing that we go? Important thing for me is I'm able to run this with the await, and I just say crawler.run. That is nice. Does it work directly like that? Because if I just go ahead and work like this, where is my async? It just is directly an await. So probably not a good idea to run it like that. This is where your foundation of the language comes in, but I'll just go with this and see what happens with this. And running headful browser mode. So notice here it just says headless is false. First, let's just run it as it is and let's see what happens. To run this, do I have any command? No, I don't have. So I'll just say start. Not a good idea. I'll say dev, and dev is going to run with the node index.js. Much better of a command, and let's see what happens. I'll just go ahead and say npm run dev. Let's run this, and it says cannot use import statement outside the module. Good for you. and we'll say type as module. There we go. Save this, and let's go ahead and run this. So it says it is starting a crawler, and now it's going through with a lot of things. We are just running the default code, but as of now I can see there is a storage going on in here, and in the storage we have a JSON file, and I can open this up and I can see all the information going on. So method is get, retry count is 0, unique key. It's using the URL as its unique key. And what I'm expecting from this code is to just dump me out the title of the page, and this should be logged as log info. So this should be logged up, and there we go, starting the crawler. Title of this is crawly, so that's nice, and building reliable crawler faster. But I want to see what happens when we go in the browser mode. So I'll just stop this. And what I've also noticed is you need to actually get rid of the storage, otherwise it doesn't do a great job, because it keeps the track that you have just crawled it, no point of crawling it again. So it's a good stuff. I'll just go ahead and remove this, so that, not rename, I want to remove this. And I want to see what happens in the browser mode. I know this is my browser, but what happens in this? It's probably going to be a little bit faster, but let's just go ahead and see this. I want to uncomment this. So this is headless false. I want the head to work with this. So let's just go ahead and work with this. npm run dev, and there we go. There you go. You can see the browser. So whole application actually is being run through the test in real world companies, where there's one tester guy who writes these kinds of scripts, and automatically the website loads up, clicks on the buttons, see the hover menus, everything working nicely. All the test goes through and run through it. This is a very real job. A lot of people do that. A lot of people hate it as well, but it's very interesting part of knowing the whole behavior of how the browser works. I'll probably close it right now. I don't want it to run, but it's going to keep on popping the browser if I manually does this. So notice here, if I close this, it opens it up again. I have to stop the script, otherwise it will just keep on going with that. Oh, finally, hopefully it's gone. I don't want it to keep on running. But you can see how powerful that it can be, that you can fire up as many browser as you wish, and we haven't even explored yet. We are just on the page 1. This is so exciting and so amazing. Let's go now, and you can see that you can build up your first crawler just like this with any one that you choose. Of course, there's a lot of reading material we have to go through. Don't worry, I'm not gonna walk you through simply, but just by staying here and staring at this. So if you want to have this crawly, one of the important link you have to go through with this enqueue links. This is the most important thing in this entire crawly, that how it actually moves to the next page and how these things are placed inside the queue. Turns out it's a good learning behavior for the data structures and algorithm topic as well. And you can see all the parameters that's going on. Pretty much nice. You can also run this in the cloud, which I'll walk you through. This is the most important thing, which is Apify. And I'll show you how it works in a minute. First, we are going to discuss the project. And what they call is every script as kind of actors, and you can initialize the actors. And this thing, instead of taking your system resources, takes the cloud resources, and you can just work everything with that. Let me just show you actually directly up here. So where is our Apify? There we go. So turns out you can actually go ahead and create as many actors as you like, and even whatever the scripts you are writing, you can actually write them here or copy paste them here, and then you can run them from here as well. If you just go ahead and click on runs, this is all that I was able to run, and I was seeing that what all I can do. So I found this YouTube comment scraper, and I wanted to know that what it's all doing. So I'll show you that what I was able to do and how it works. So I gave it an input URL directly of the YouTube video, and I says, hey, maximum the comment I want to extract from this video are just 10. And then I said, hey, let's just run this. And there are lots of run options that what you want to do. I didn't touch too much of them. I just clicked on start. Once I do this, it actually gives you a whole lot of information about how you can actually work with this, the runs. You can see some of my runs are there. And what I was able to grab is the comment. So this was the video where I asked the user that, hey, just tell me from where you are, which state you are. So turns out you can build a simple application just by these agents that, hey, in all the comments or in a live stream, if anybody says, hey, just tell me from where you are, your city name, and you can use a map and pinpoint the location and make the circle a little bigger as more users write that exact same name. For example, a city like Kolkata, or from Rajasthan, or from Cuttack. So this could be a really nice and fun application, and there are companies around it which are actually doing all of this. So yeah, this Apify agents, I just found this agent, already somebody is doing that. It's charging me $2, not much for 1,000 comments. So I thought, let me just add some credits into this and have fun with this. But anyways, you can do all of this through in your own browser as well, on your own servers as well. If you wish to go there, it's okay. If you want to use the cloud service, that's okay. If you want to use it on your own, that's okay as well. Then what we can do is, after that, go into the examples and see what we can do. How does the basic crawler looks like? This is how the basic crawler look like. You can just go ahead and see. Let's study this, what happens in this. So this is the most basic crawler from the crawly. What we studied on the home page was an extreme example of how we can actually fire up the browser. But what about creating the very basic crawler? So turns out this is a good example. So to create a basic crawler, we simply go ahead and say, give me basic crawler that comes from the crawly, and it goes into async request handler. Of course, you go it and give it a push data, some other request, send request, and the log. Let's see what all these are. So in the request, we give it a URL. So it's extracting a URL. So it is expected that you will give it a URL. And as you can see, this is the add request. This is the run. So before running it, we say crawler.add request. So once we go ahead and add a request, from the request, it is able to extract the URL. So we need to give it exactly in this format. This is going to be an array of collection of strings, which will be your URLs. Yeah, a lot of data structures here. You have to be good in that. And after that, we simply goes ahead and say processing the URL. And after that, it says, hey, once the send request is being used, which is a part of the request handler, we can actually extract the body out of it. And now read. This is the most important part. Fetch the page HTML via the crawly send request utility method. So turns out crawly gives you back an entire HTML page. Now it's all about how you can actually grab the input fields from it. So IDs, classes, your classic stuff. By default, the method will use current request that is being handled. So you don't have to provide it yourself. You can also provide a custom request if you want. So by default, the request that goes up, of course, a get request, we can go ahead and work with that. Then it simply says push data, so it pushes the URL and the HTML body into this. Store the HTML and URL into the default data set. Remember the data set that we talked about? Yes, it still goes ahead, create that, and actually push the data into that. So now that you know the basics of it, how it's being done, I think this is a good example that they have written. And of course, there are more examples. So this is how you literally go ahead, learn through the things, and start building other things. We have Puppeteer, how to download a file. Maybe you are interested in downloading a file, submitting the file. Nice examples up here. Since this is open source, if you are creating something good, I think this is a right point and right chance that you can contribute in the open source with the crawly that, hey, I want to contribute something. I want to give you more examples. These are not enough. And if you add 3 or 4 more examples, good contribution, a quality contribution that you can do in the open source. So I think this is really nice. Go ahead and do that kind of contribution. All right, a lot of stuff. Now that our training part is over, and it was not over for me, I had to literally sit here, spend probably a few good hours here, and not just me, team also, because we were building this in the team. So literally to study this, to teach this, it requires hours and hours of dedication. And when you will be using them or building them in any application, it's going to require some time, probably weeks to do this, but it's all worth it. Now you have an idea that how do I read the documentation and how you can read along with me. Go ahead, spend some time in it. And it's an open source project. I would love to see if any of the viewer of this channel contribute into this, and I get that, hey, or tweet like, hey, I've contributed new examples in this. I would be super happy. Okay, so the part 2 is this much, and we are over about that. I showed you that how to read the documentation, how you can run the things on the cloud as well, and on your own system in the headless mode and without the head mode as well. Now the next part is how we go ahead and build this application and what are the challenges that we face. It's just a one single function that we have built. Rest of all is just a UI, which we even didn't build. We just used the shad CN for that. But I'll walk you through in the part 3 that how we build this. The source code will be available. And I would love to see what more you can actually add into this one to make it a little bit more refined of a project. So that is it for this one. Let's move on to the part 3 now. Welcome to the video 3. For me, it's video 3. For you, it's a section 3 of the course. In this part, we're gonna go through with how we are going to have a code walkthrough, how you can make this project on your own, what enhancements you can use, from where we can actually grab these charts libraries so that we can have nice looking graphs and charts, and what all are the challenges that we faced while building this application. So I'm going to walk you through with all of this. It's going to be really fun. By the way, the code for this entire video is linked in the description section. I would feel really happy if you take this project, take this course, and add a tiny bit of your own things into this. Maybe I'm using line chart, you go ahead and use and turn it into a bar chart, maybe change the color. Just click a photo, tag me up on Twitter or LinkedIn. I would feel really happy that somebody is not just watching the video, but actually doing something with this. And that's exactly what I want you to do. So without a further ado, let me take you onto the screen and let's have a discussion with this. So we'll come on to the charts and libraries. So this is the whole code base that we have. As you can see, there is nothing too much into this code. We have kept it as a bare minimum Next.js project. If I open up this, apart from some of the libraries that we have installed, there is nothing much going on. There is a requirement for this UUID. I'll walk you through with that. But apart from this, we have some of the chart libraries, Playwright, of course, that comes from the installation part, and the crawly. So these are two dependents. And after this, all that you see up here in the top, these are all just basics for icons, having the graphs, something like that. The most important library that we are going through with is the rechart. So this is what we are going to study in this one, and I'll walk you through what other options that we have. So first, let's go ahead and open this up into rechart. And turns out rechart in React is one of the most popular library in building the charts. Am I not connected on internet? I am. Okay. So this is the rechart library, and this is the bare minimum basic library that we are going to go through and work with that. But turns out using this rechart, you can go ahead and check out more examples. We actually used this one. It was super easy for us. That's why we picked up with this one. But using the rechart, there is a potential that how you can upgrade this project. Based on the rechart, recently, ShadCN built a really nice component library, and notice here how beautiful they are. So if you go ahead and check out their line chart, they look really beautiful. They have ShadCNify the whole thing, and they look out of the box really nice, and you can change the colors and themes and whatnot. So, oh, this is nice. So I'll come back onto this one, and feel free to use any chart. For us, it made sense that if you want to compare the views versus the video count, anything would be awesome for us, but I think the only two options which made sense for us was either a line chart, just like this, or we could have a bar chart as well. And in these data science projects, you have to determine which chart is going to make sense for you. You cannot just go ahead and use any chart like pie chart or something in this. It doesn't give you that actionable steps in that. So this is where your experience comes into the handy. If you have taken down these kinds of data, then obviously you can pick up the better chart. Now, what I want you to do is go ahead and study more about these charts, especially from the ShadCN, and see that how does the code look like. For example, this is the bar chart. It doesn't make sense. This kind of a bar comparison chart, just the bar chart, which shows me the how many views are there, and then I can see the decline on it and then hop onto it. So that would be a better chart. But in case you want to see this is how you see the code part of it. And there you go. You can just go ahead and take this whole code, just click on the button and try to inject the data in this. Let me walk you through the code that how we are actually taking this. Assuming that the whole process of the crawly is being done and is sending us some of the data, how we display that data. That is what all happens in the page.tsx. So if you come back here, this is the state that we are using to take the URL input. I'll show you that. So this is the whole input that we are taking. As soon as somebody clicks on the analyze the data, or this whole button which says analyze playlist, we simply come back and enable our states so that the loading is true. By the time the loading happens, we have a simple try catch which makes a call request to the API, which is scrape playlist. This is the API that we have created. It's a really simple process. In the API folder, we have created scrape playlist, and there is a route.ts file. I'll walk into this file in a minute, but first let's see. Assuming that this obviously takes a whole lot of time, that's why we have this async and await and try catch, and everything goes nicely, then what we can see is we are getting this body, and if the response is all okay, we are storing this data. This data sets as a video data and the graph data as well. This is being used for that. So from that data, we extract the video list as well as the data which is required for all the graph, the number of views. That is the only important data that we have. And once we set that into the states, as soon as the states are being changed, of course, the UI re-renders and sets up this data. After that, we are not doing anything. We are just looping through the data, and that's it. If you just go up here, so notice here video length, we're just creating the cards on the left hand side, and once we go up here on this side, we're just simply taking this line chart and providing all the data. So as you can see, there is nothing much we are doing. It looks really big, but it's not. If you just go ahead and shrink this, this is the card 1 that we have, and this is the card content that we have. So the first card content is the left hand side. So yeah, literally just throwing away the data just there. Of course, it looks beautiful. And we can see the video data.map. We are looping through this. We are indexing it. Whatever the image we are able to grab, we are able to do that. This definitely requires a little bit of more tweaking because we are not able to grab some of these URLs of the images. Obviously, this requires more work there. And then we are formatting the views into video.views. So this is how we grab the views. That's it. That is all. And on the right hand side, we have this graph, which is line chart itself. We provide the data and provide the values like what happens on the x-axis, what happens on the y-axis, what's happened on the legend, and what's the line actually looks like. So that is it. That is it. So as you see, this is the part which is handling just the data that is coming to us. Now, the problem statement is how do we actually grab this data? For this, we have created an API because this needs to happen on our own server, and this requires and takes some time in that. The most important part here is not this part up here. This is the crawly. So this is the most important one that we have to go ahead and learn that how this works. We have actually added a little bit of the bypassing here for the caching mechanism so that you don't have to go again back and stuff here. That we'll talk about in a minute. But first of all, let's go through. So as soon as somebody hits a post request here, we simply go ahead and extract the playlist URL out of it. Now this playlist URL can further be extracted more if you want to work with what's happening. You have to go ahead and study this whole URL. Notice here there's a question mark list, and then a whole bunch of things are actually given to you as a playlist URL. And after that, there's an ampersand signs and all of that. So what's more important for us is this whole big URL of the playlist. You have to actually extract this one here. So notice here in the URL, we are saying search the param get list, and out of that, we are saying that whether we are able to get the playlist ID or not. This is a basic sanitization 101. I'm pretty sure there are some libraries which can do it, or you can write better regex for it. We went a little lazy on that. So after that, we simply grab a UUID to maintain the caching, but it's not much required. And after that, we simply go ahead and say, hey, dataset, just open the playlist at this part here. But again, this is just a settings. The most important part happen in the crawler itself. So again, same options that we studied. So we simply go ahead and fire up a playwright crawler. You can go ahead and fire up any of your favorite crawler that you want to go with that. Maybe you want to go with Cheerio. That's also go ahead and work with that. Of course, all the demos were available for us. Now what we did in this one, this was much easier for us to do because we simply go ahead and send a request. It gives us a page and the logs for processing what's happening in that. But the page actually gives you the whole page. So we have almost like a page, and there are Python libraries which actually does exactly same in this. And after that, we simply waited for a selector, and we simply went up in this one. So we went up in this one and we simply said, hey, how can we select this one? Right click and go ahead and inspect the element and see what's happening into this one. So the easiest selector we could find out is just with the class names here. So we literally copied all the class names, and that you can see up here. So this is all the IDs and the classes that we have. So once you have this selector, you have to actually wait quite a lot. This is the number that you have to grab, because what happens in this is actually once the page is actually being loaded, this part actually takes a little time to come. So we don't want to hurry up. We wanted to wait for a little while so that all of these are loaded. Another challenge for us is, in this case, you'll notice that as you scroll, this is not the whole playlist. You have to actually scroll this and have to inject a scroll behavior so that it can go ahead and load rest of the remaining of the playlist. So we simply went ahead and said, hey, we want to wait for it and simply load it. But not only that, we have to actually find this method here, page.evacuate. And this is an interesting one. It took us a little time to find out that what can actually have kind of a promise like a thing, or we can update an existing page. So turns out this page.evacuate exists. So if I just go ahead and search inside this, I'm pretty sure it's searchable. Can I copy this and evacuate? So page.evacuate, and I think the first one, oops, try again. Did I crashed it? Probably. All right, so looks like I'm crashing the page, or probably my browser is not able to handle it. It's not that the server is crashing, it's probably my server. I've ran through with so many of the scripts and stuff. So we literally had to find out that, hey, crawler processing this request, what happens into this one. So this one actually does a lot of steps into this one. If I can just find it, and probably can look onto this one. So this is the one, I guess, that helped us in getting that. But yeah, literally we had to go ahead and search for this, that how we can actually do this. Took us a little while to go through the documentation, but what we were able to do this is this evacuate helps us. It returns the value of a page function invocation. If the function passed, returns a promise, and whatever the behavior you want it to do, it does that behavior and then gives you the result back. That's the whole gist of evaluate. Yeah, not evacuate, evaluate. So notice here we are simply saying that while true, keep on doing this, and we want to actually scroll this. So this is a classic 101 way of scrolling in the JavaScript way. So we simply calculated the height of it, and we simply set it up height again, and then after that we are simply breaking up. So we are keep on loading that, because what we have noticed is once you actually keep on loading into this playlist, you can keep on loading it, and once it is being loaded, all the video stays here. So this is the behavior you have to study. And once we have all of this, then it was just super easy to just grab the content of it, and we simply flushed or pushed all of this data into an array, which is video data. That is all what we did. And yes, this took some time, but ultimately we were able to do this. So data set, everything was pushed as a videos. So this is all that goes ahead and happens. But this function is not yet called. We tried initially to calling this function directly, and what happened is if you go ahead and try to run it on the same URL again, it turns out it crashes the things. And yes, a lot of time our script got crashed, a lot of time a whole lot of things got crashed, because the crawly actually put some of the mechanisms so that you don't actually crawl it again and again, and these all mechanisms are actually stored into the storage. Either you have to delete the storage and do it again, but what we did is, if we have already scrawled it, so why don't we store that into our key value pair, our own mini Redis kind of a thing. So we simply went ahead and simply said that, hey, let's go ahead and try this. If the unique key is already available, which is made out of the playlist URL, we'll just send the result directly. If not, then and only then in those cases, we are going to go ahead and call the crawly. So yeah, a lot of stuff, but hey, good fun stuff that we were able to build. So go ahead and study more about it, that how we were able to do it and all of that. But overall, a really fun project, not just fun, but a very useful project for us, that how it actually goes ahead and give us all the insights about what happened. Now we have to just go into the video 18. We can actually go ahead and see this video 18 that we see up here. So object-oriented programming in Python. So the moment we start the object-oriented programming, this actually got attention, and this is a video which got attention on this. So I think, hey, this is now in demand. So we will keep an eye on this, that every single time there is an object-oriented programming, we don't mix it with other videos, we actually keep it as a standalone video. This is just one part of it. We can also see that something spiked into the video 21. What happened on the video 21? So we started a project here. Makes sense. You start a project. So I think it's a good time that we go ahead and put some standalone projects on the Python playlist, so that we can have more of it. And last video, what's the last video about? It's getting a lot of attention on video 28. So it's a Python for JavaScript developers. Of course, it has to get some of the attention there. So yeah, all the good reasons, all the good signs to have your data being analyzed properly and work with that. So the link is in the description section, and that is it. That is all we are doing. Just a 2-page Next.js application which does the end-to-end job and gives us so much actionable steps as well. Now further, you can chain it further to some of the AIs, generators like GPTs and stuff, and can provide that, hey, these are the best videos which perform best. Can you suggest me more titles based on that? This project can be taken up like a really good project for your college or for your company, resume, whatever you want to go further. And this will be unique to you because it's not a precise solution which is given on YouTube. This will be very unique to you. I hope you are enjoying these kinds of projects. I really love to make these kinds of projects for you guys. So go ahead and share this on the social media, especially on Twitter and LinkedIn, and I'll definitely bring more such videos for you. So that is it for this video. Hope you have enjoyed this and learned something more about the crawly, the agents that you can have in the Epify, and as well as making some of the data science project, that too in JavaScript. Really fun. Let's catch up in the next video.